Okay, guys, we are continuing our reading from the Forgotten Books of Eden. And looking at the index, we're almost done with it. So, we are in the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. So this is actually like the last section. It's just broken into the 12 Patriarchs. So there's an introduction, and then there's 2 chapters in Reuben that we'll cover in this video, and then there'll be Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali, the Testament of Gad, Asher, and Joseph and Benjamin. So, and after that, we're done with the Forgotten Books of Eden, guys, which is kind of sad. But I did find the lost books of the Bible on the same sacred text website. So there's some of the same ones that I already read from a different website, but then there's new ones too. So I'm gonna have to go through and see which ones we haven't covered, and if we should cover them or not. I don't know. So but that I found today when I realized that this is almost over, and what are we going to read next? We'll still have massive amounts, all of the New Testament to cover in the NIV still. So it's not like we're done with the Bible, but yeah, so just letting you know, we are almost done with the Forgotten Books of Eden. So we are going to get started today with the introduction of the Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. I might actually have time for Simeon because it's just 3 chapters, depending on how long those chapters are. But okay, so here we go. The Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs. The following 12 books are biographies written between 107 and 37 BC. They are a forceful exposition showing how a Pharisee with a rare gift of writing secured publicity by using the names of the greatest men of ancient times. There were intellectual giants in those days, and the 12 patriarchs were the intellectual giants. Each is here made to tell his life story. When he is on his deathbed, he calls all his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren about him and proceeds without reservation to lay bare his experiences for the moral guidance of his hearers. If he fell into sin, he tells all about it and then counsels them not to err as he did. If he was virtuous, he shows what rewards were his. When you look beyond the unvarnished, almost brutally frank passages of the text, you will discern a remarkable attestation of the expectations of the Messiah, which existed 100 years before Christ. And there is another element of rare value in real immortality, as Dr. R.H. Charles says in his scholarly work on the Pseudepigrapha. Its ethical teaching has achieved real immortality by influencing the thought and dictation of the writers of the New Testament and even those of our Lord. This ethical teaching, which is very much higher and purer than that of the Old Testament, is yet its true spiritual child and helps to bridge the chasm that divides the ethics of the Old and New Testaments. The instances of the influence of these writings on the New Testament are notable in the Sermon on the Mount, which reflects the spirit and even uses phrases from these testaments. St. Paul appears to have borrowed so freely that it seems as though he must have carried a copy of the testaments with him on his travels. Thus, the reader has before him in these pages what is at once striking for its blunt, primitive style, invaluable as some of the actual source books of the Bible. Okay. Chapter 1 is a testament of Reuben. So, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah. Chapter 1. Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob and Leah, the man of experience, counsels against fornication and points out the ways in which men are almost apt to fall into error. The copy of the Testament of Reuben, even the commands which he gave his sons before he died in the 125th year of his life. 2 years after the death of Joseph, his brother, when Reuben fell ill, his sons and his sons' sons were gathered together to visit him. And he said to them, "My children, behold, I am dying, and go the way of my fathers. And see there Judah and Gad and Asher, his brethren. He said to them, Raise me up, that I may tell to my brethren and to my children what things I have hidden in my heart. For behold, now at length I am passing away." And he arose and kissed them, and said unto them, Hear, my brethren, and do ye, my children, give ear to Reuben your father, and the commands which I give unto you. And behold, I call to witness against you this day the God of heaven, that ye walk not in the sins of youth and fornication, wherein I was poured out, and defiled the bed of my father Jacob. And I tell you that he smote me with a sore plague in my loins for 7 months, and had not my father Jam prayed for me to the Lord would have destroyed me. For I was 30 years old when I wrought the evil thing before the Lord, and for 7 months I was sick unto death. And after this I repented with set purpose of my soul for 7 years before the Lord. And wine and strong drink I drank not, and flesh entered not into my mouth. And I ate no pleasant food, but I mourned over my sin, for it was great, such as I had not been in Israel. Therefore are appointed against man, and they are the leaders in the works of youth. And 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, that through them should be done every work of man. The first is the spirit of life, with which the constitution of man is created. The second is the sense of sight, with which ariseth desire. The third is the sense of hearing, with which cometh teaching. The fourth is the sense of smell, with which tastes are given to draw air and breath. The fifth is the power of speech, with which cometh knowledge. The sixth is the sense of taste, with which cometh the eating of meats and drinks. And by its strength is produced, for in food is the foundation of strength. The seventh is the power of procreation and sexual intercourse, with which through love of pleasure sins enter in. Wherefore it is the last in order of creation, and the first in that of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, and leadeth the youth as a blind man to a pit, and as a beast to a precipice. Besides all these, there is an eighth spirit of sleep, with which is brought up about the trance of nature and that of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. First, the spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in the senses. The second, the spirit of insatiableness in the belly. The third, the spirit of fighting in the liver and gall. The fourth is the spirit of obsequiousness. This word is good. Looking it up. Obsequiousness. The fact of trying too hard to please somebody, especially somebody who is important, behavior that shows this cinnamon servility. Okay. All right. Continuing. And another word, chickenery. Another word I've never seen or heard of. Chickenery. The use of trickery to achieve a political, financial, or legal purpose. Okay. That through officious attention, one may be fair in seeming. The fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant. The sixth is the spirit of lying, and perdition, and jealousy, to practice deceits and concealments from kindred and friends. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are thefts and acts of rapacity, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart, for injustice worketh together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts. And with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy. And so perisheth every young man, darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of God, nor obeying the admonitions of his fathers, as befell me also in my youth. And now, my children, love the truth, and it will preserve you. Hear ye the words of Reuben your father. Pay no heed to the face of a woman, nor associate with another man's wife, nor meddle with affairs of womankind. Nor had I not seen Bilhah bathing in a covered place, I had not fallen into this great iniquity. For my mind, taking in the thought of the woman's nakedness, suffered me not to sleep until I had wrought the abominable thing. For while Jacob, our father, had gone to Isaac, his father, when we were in Eder, near Ephrath, in Bethlehem, Bilhah became drunk and was asleep uncovered in her chamber. Having therefore gone in and beheld her nakedness, I wrought the impiety without her perceiving it, and leaving her sleeping departed. And forthwith an angel of God revealed to my father concerning my impiety, and he came and mourned over me and touched her no more. Chapter 2. Reuben continues with his experience and his good advice. Pay no heed, therefore, my children, to the beauty of women, nor set your mind on their affairs, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of the Lord, and expend labor on good works and on study and your flocks, until the Lord give you a wife, whom he will, that ye suffer not as I did. For until my father's death I had not boldness to look in his face, or to speak to any of my brethren, because of the reproach. Even until now my conscience causeth me anguish on account of my impiety. And yet my father comforted me much, and prayed for me unto the Lord, that the anger of the Lord might pass from me, even as the Lord showed. Thenceforth until now I have been on my guard, and sinned not. Therefore, my children, I say unto you, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and ye shall not sin. For a pit unto the soul is the sin of fornication, separating it from God, and bringing it near to idols, because it deceiveth the mind and understanding, and leadeth down young men into Hades before their time. For many hath fornication destroyed, because though a man be old, or noble, or rich, or poor, he bringeth reproach upon himself with the sons of men, and derision with Beliar. For ye heard regarding Joseph, how he guarded himself from a woman, and purged his thoughts from fornication, and found favor in the sight of God and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things unto him, and summoned magicians, and offered him love potions, but the purpose of his soul admitted no evil desire. Therefore the God of your fathers delivered him from every evil and hidden death. For if fornication overcomes not your mind, neither can Beliar overcome you. For evil are women, my children, and since they have no power or strength over man, they use wiles, but by outward attractions, that they may draw him to themselves. And whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions, him they overcome by craft. For moreover, concerning them, the angel of the Lord told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, and in their heart they plot against men, and by means of their adornment they deceive first their minds, and by the glance of the eye instill the poison, and then through the accomplished act they take them captive. For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by a harlot's bearing she beguiles him. Flee therefore fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they adorn not their heads and faces to deceive the mind, because every woman who useth these wiles bath been reserved for eternal punishment. For thus they allured the watchers who were before the flood. For as these continually beheld them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind. For they changed themselves into the shape of men, and appeared to them when they were with their husbands. And the women, lusting in their minds after their forms, gave birth to giants. For the watchers appeared to them as reaching even unto heaven. Beware, therefore, of fornication. And if you wish to be pure in mind, guard your senses from every woman, and command the women likewise not to associate with men, that they also may be pure in mind. For constant meanings, even though the ungodly deed be not wrought, are to them an irremediable disease, and to us a destruction of Beliar and an eternal reproach. For in fornication there is neither understanding nor godliness. All jealousy dwelleth in the lust thereof. Therefore, then I say unto you, ye will be jealous against the sons of Levi, and will seek to be exalted over them. But ye shall not be able, for God will avenge them, and ye shall die by an evil death. For to Levi God gave the sovereignty, and to Judah with him, and to me also, and to Dan and Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore I command you to hearken to Levi, because he shall know the law of the Lord, and shall give ordinances for judgment, and shall sacrifice for all Israel unto the consummation of the times, as the anointed high priest of whom the Lord spake. I adjure you by the God of heaven to do truth, each one unto his neighbor, and to entertain love each one for his brother. And draw ye near to Levi in humbleness of heart, that ye may receive a blessing from his mouth. For he shall bless Israel and Judah, because him hath the Lord chosen to be king over all the nation, and bow down before his seed. For on our behalf it will die in wars visible and invisible, and will be among you an eternal king. And Reuben died, having given these commands to his sons, and they placed him in a coffin until they carried him up from Egypt, and buried him in Hebron in the cave where his father was. Okay, guys. So the title of this is going to be super lengthy if I read another one. So we're going to hold off. So we're just going to do just Reuben and the introduction today, and hang on. I might change my mind about this. Okay, so Simeon does not seem very long at all, and I could just change the wording to Testament of Reuben and Simeon instead of writing the whole thing out each time. I think I'll do that because these are not that long at all. It's just 3 chapters. Okay, guys, we're going to get into Simeon. Okay, so this is Reuben. Just finished Reuben. So now we're in chapter 1, the Testament of Simeon. Okay. Chapter 1, the second son of Jacob and Leah. So they must, instead of order of death, they're going in order of how, like, chronologically by their age. Okay, so chapter 1. Simeon, the second son of Jacob and Leah, the strong man, he becomes jealous of Joseph and is an instigator of the plot against Joseph. The copy of the words of Simeon, the things which he spake to his sons before he died in the 120th year of his life, at which Joseph his brother died. For when Simeon was sick, his sons came to visit him, and he strengthened himself, stood up and kissed them, and said, Hearken, my children, to Simeon your father, and I will declare unto you what things I have in my heart. I was born of Jacob as my father's second son, and my mother Leah called me Simeon, because the Lord had heard her prayer. Moreover, I became strong exceedingly. I shrank from an achievement, nor was I afraid of aught. For my heart was hard, and my liver was immovable, and my bowels without compassion. Because valor also has been given from the Most High to men in soul and body. For in the time of my youth I was jealous in many things of Joseph, because my father loved him beyond all. And I set my mind against him to destroy him, because the prince of deceit sent forth the spirit of jealousy and blinded my mind, so that I regarded him not as a brother, nor did I spare even Jacob my father. But his God and the God of his father sent forth his angel and delivered him out of my hands. For when I went to Shechem to bring ointment for the flocks, and Reuben to Dothan, where were our necessaries and all our stores, Judah my brother sold him to the Ishmaelites. And when Reuben heard these things he was grieved, for he wished to restore him to his father. But on hearing this, I was exceedingly wroth against Judah, in that he let him go away alive. And for 5 months I continued wrathful against him. But the Lord restrained me and withheld from me the power of my hands. For my right hand was half withered for 7 days, and I knew, my children, that because of Joseph this had befallen me. And I repented and wept, and I besought the Lord God that my hand might be restored, and that I might hold aloof from all pollution, envy, and from all folly. For I knew that I had devised an evil thing before the Lord and Jacob my father, on account of Joseph my brother, in that I envied him. And now, my children, hearken unto me, and beware of the spirit of deceit and envy. For envy ruleth over the whole mind of a man, and suffereth him neither to eat nor drink, nor to do any good thing. But if ever suggesteth to him to destroy him, that he envieth, and so long as he that is envied flourisheth, he that envieth fadeth away. 2 years, therefore, I afflicted my soul with fasting in the fear of the Lord, and I learned that deliverance from envy cometh by the fear of God. For if a man flee to the Lord, the evil spirit runneth away from him, and his mind is lightened. And henceforward he sympathizeth with him whom he envied, and forgiveth those who are hostile to him, and so ceaseth from his envy. Chapter 2 of Simeon. Okay, now I'm confused. What? It goes from Testament of Simeon, then it goes into Reuben. I'm confused right now. Okay, Reuben counsels, chapter 2, Reuben counsels his hearers against envy. And my father asked concerning me, because he saw that I was sad, and I said unto him, I am pained in my liver, for I mourned more than they all, because I was guilty of the selling of Joseph. And when we went down into Egypt, and he bound me as a spy, I knew that I was suffering justly, and I grieved not. Now Joseph was a good man, and he had the Spirit of God within him. Being compassionate and pitiful, he bore no malice against me, but loved me, even as the rest of his brethren. Beware, therefore, my children, of all jealousy and envy, and walk in singleness of heart, that God may give you also grace and glory and blessing upon your heads, even as ye saw in Joseph's case. All his days he reproached us not concerning this thing, but loved us as his own soul, and beyond his own sons glorified us, and gave us riches and cattle and fruits. Do ye also, my children, love each other, each one his brother, with a good heart, and the spirit of envy will withdraw from you. For this maketh savage the soul, and destroyeth the body. It causeth anger and war in the mind, and stirreth up unto deeds of blood, and leadeth the mind into frenzy, and causeth tumult to the soul, and trembling to the body. For even in sleep malicious jealousy gnaweth, and with wicked spirits disturbeth the soul, and causeth the body to be troubled, and waketh the mind from sleep in confusion. And as a wicked and poisonous spirit, so appeareth to men. Therefore was Joseph comely in appearance, and goodly to look upon, because no wickedness dwelt in him. For some of the trouble of the spirit the face manifesteth. And now, my children, make your hearts good before the Lord, and your ways straight before men, and ye shall find grace before the Lord and men. Beware, therefore, of fornication, for fornication is mother of all evils, separating from God, and bringing near to Beliar. For I have seen it inscribed in the writing of Enoch, that your sons shall be corrupted in fornication, and shall do harm to the sons of Levi with the sword. But they shall not be able to withstand Levi, for he shall wage the war of the Lord, and shall conquer all your hosts. And they shall be few in number, divided in Levi and Judah, and there shall be none of you for sovereignty, even as also our father prophesied in his blessings. And chapter 3. A prophecy of the coming of the Messiah. Behold, I have told you all things, that I may be acquitted of your sin. Now, if ye remove from you your envy, and all stiffneckedness is a rose, shall my bones flourish in Israel, and as a lily my flesh in Jacob, and my odor shall be as the odor of Libanus, and as cedars shall holy ones be multiplied from me forever, and their branches shall stretch afar off. Then shall perish the seed of Canaan, and a remnant shall not be unto Amalek, and all the Cappadocians shall perish, and all Hittites shall be utterly destroyed. Then shall fail the land of Ham, and all the people shall perish. Then shall all the earth rest from trouble, and all the world under heaven from war. Then the mighty one of Israel shall glorify Shem, for the Lord God shall appear on earth, and himself save men. Then shall all the spirits of deceit be given to be trodden under foot, and men shall rule over wicked spirits. Then shall I arise in joy, and will bless the Most High, because of his marvelous works. Because God hath taken a body, and eaten with men, and saved men. And now, my children in Judah, and obey Levi and Judah, and be not lifted up against these two tribes, for from them shall arise unto you this salvation of God. For the Lord shall raise up from Levi as it were a high priest, and from Judah as it were a king. God and man, he shall save all the Gentiles and the race of Israel. Therefore I give you these commands, that ye also may command your children, that they may observe them throughout their generations. And when Simeon had made an end of commanding his sons, he slept with fathers 120 years old. And they laid him in a wooden coffin to take up his bones to Hebron, and they took them up secretly during a war of Egyptians. For the bones of Joseph the Egyptians guarded in the tombs of the kings. For the sorcerers told them that on the departure of the bones of Joseph there should be throughout all the land darkness and gloom, and an exceeding great plague to the Egyptians, so that even with a lamp a man should not recognize his brother. And the sons of Simeon bewailed their father, and they were in Egypt until the day of their departure by the hand of Moses. Okay, guys, we will talk about the Testament of Levi next time. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.